Before I begin, Governor Patrick had a few words to say to the group.
Hi everyone, I'm Deval Patrick, former governor of Massachusetts and a candidate for the Democratic nomination for President of the United States. And I want to thank all of the Dems abroad for caring about the outcome of this election, for participating in it, and for inviting our campaign to be a part of your consideration. Special thanks to your chairman, Julia Bryant, and to a member of our political family, Erica Schechter, who is representing the campaign so ably today with you. You know, I have had the experience of living abroad many, many years ago when I was graduating from college and had an opportunity to live in the Sudan. I've had the experience of working and solving problems and building bridges all over the world in the years since, and in many ways, my perspective, my appreciation of, and my respect for the United States and the way we are organized around a handful of powerful and enduring civic values of equality, opportunity, and fair play, how unique and how extraordinarily compelling that is in our time and in all times. But if the character of the candidate is always an issue in elections, this time it's the character of the country. And I'm running because I believe we have to create, in many ways, reinvent our country so that there is room for everyone everywhere. Those who feel unseen and unheard in communities all around the United States, and those who feel unseen and unheard who are citizens living abroad. I have a broader range of life and leadership experience than anyone else in this very, very capable field. And I understand that making change that lasts means being both bold in our agenda, but humble in our approach, making room for others to help us achieve the goals that we set. Many of the candidates are talking about health care. 99% of Massachusetts residents have it today. Many of the candidates are talking about climate change, and we should. Well, we have a model approach and response to climate change here in Massachusetts. Many of the candidates are talking about job creation. We came out of recession in Massachusetts at a 25-year employment high. When it comes to criminal sentencing, when it comes to our approach to immigrants, when it comes to the tone set for dealing even with terrorism, the response here to the Boston Marathon bombing. Every one of those examples reflect two things. Where the others have ideas, I have results. I'm asking for your support. I'm welcoming your engagement. I invite you to get more informed about our campaign and about me at devalpatrick.com. And we look forward to doing everything we can to make sure that our democracy is the democracy it ought to be, and that you feel your place in it.
Very good.
A little bit more about me. I had the honor of working on Governor Patrick's 2010 re-election campaign, and then serving in his administration in housing and economic development, where I was able to be involved in not only being out in the field, but seeing the promises made and then the promises kept in policies and in actions while he was governor of Massachusetts. I know a lot of you, or some of you may not have heard him. He is relatively new to the field of candidates. A lot of that actually has to do with personal reasons. And early on in 2018, or late 2018, he was strongly considering an announcement for running. And then his wife, unfortunately, was diagnosed with cancer. And so prior to his announcement, he decided to take the time and be with his wife as opposed to running an election. And now that his wife is cancer-free, she was the one to push him to run, seeing that there was opportunity still in the field. And the ability to reach out to undecided voters that still remained during the primary. So the important thing that you need to know about Governor Patrick is his optimism. One thing he would always say is that you have to hope for the best and work for it. And I think this idea has really propelled him in life. He was raised by a single mother on the south side of Chicago, eventually becoming a civil rights lawyer for both the NAACP and the Justice Department. He then went into the private sector before becoming governor of Massachusetts. Now, some of you might think Massachusetts is a fairly democratic state. We have some progressive politicians there now. However, for the last 30 years, Massachusetts has had a Republican governor. So not only was he a political outsider, coming into the race late in 2006, he had 1% of the vote, but he also was able to make strides and build bridges and organize and really lead a grassroots campaign in order to win what many thought was an insurmountable election. So his results as governor were tangible. He brought Massachusetts out of the Great Recession. He implemented the state's universal health care plan, which later became the framework for the Affordable Care Act. Massachusetts became first in the nation in student achievement. We expanded our focus on climate change, setting the most aggressive greenhouse reduction requirements at the time. We joined the Regional Greenhouse Gas Initiative and passed legislation focusing on climate jobs. He understood and that sometimes you need to spend political capital. You just can't keep it in for yourself. And sometimes that means doing the right thing when not everyone wants to do it. And that is largely because he believes in what he would call generational responsibility, making sure that the place today is better for the next generation. And so I got to see this firsthand when we rolled out a housing production policy and set a public goal of producing 10,000 new units each year in the state. Many people argued that we should keep that goal private, that we shouldn't have set a target because what happens if we failed? And not only that, some cities and towns in the state were going to be angry at us, and they were, because that means that they weren't going to have control over how many new units were being created. But regardless, he heard the experts, he convened the experts, and he implemented this policy to help support Massachusetts' competitiveness, because he understood that if we didn't have a place that people could live and work, that we would lose jobs. But more importantly, he was coming from a place that he understood that all levels of income had the right to a home. And in 3 years, we reached our goal. And that's something, as a member of his team, I was so proud of. And then the idea too being that he would often say, sometimes you need to eat your broccoli, where you're not necessarily gonna like doing it, but it's gonna make you stronger and healthier, so you need to eat your broccoli. So what does Governor Patrick see for the United States? A government should bring people together, not tear people apart. A government should be there so that every person has a chance to the American dream. To ensure access to a first-rate education system, creating new, well-paying jobs through innovation, and rebuilding our infrastructure, both physical and social. And this will all create new opportunities for all Americans. He believes in making meaningful fixes to healthcare, gun control, criminal justice, and taxation to meet our modern needs. And he sees the need to end abuses and barriers to democracy, ending the abuses and barriers to democracy that we see today, including increasing voter access. I hope that you consider Governor Patrick for his ability to bring this country together and to provide all Americans with an equal access to the American dream. And I am more than happy to talk to you about him, so please don't hesitate to approach me or sign your name up on the sheet outside. Happy just to have a conversation or grab a coffee anytime.